Welcome, 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 everybody. We are live right now on YouTube with episode 48. This is Evening Hour, and I'm Cardone. Grab a drink, folks. Okay. All right. Cheers. Yeah. Come on in. Grab a drink. I see Sharky, Talon, Jason, William. Come on in. All right. Shall we? Put it up. Vinyl. There we go. Good evening. I got a weird show tonight. A little bit of a wild card, which means I need people chatting tonight. The more questions, the better. I'm a little allergied out. Peter Benedetti, what up, brother? You're going to be getting a book in the next week in the mail. Yeah. Today's a wild card show, but I do have stuff I did work on. We are going to talk about the number 666 tonight. Something that I always wanted to do a little bit more research on, and I did, and I found some cool stuff. So sit tight, grab a drink, and I want to chat about life. Yeah. Wow, we had a killer show on Friday. I'm starting to pull in a nice live group of about 30 on my Friday shows, which is great. When I first started, I was only getting a couple, and now some of these programs are getting a really great live viewership, so thank you so much. The subject was Godzilla. I take Godzilla very seriously. I've been collecting toys and films of the character basically my whole life. I have a way closer tie to Godzilla than I do comic book characters and all the others. Marvels and DCs and Supermans and Batmans. I've always thought the Godzilla universe was definitely more my thing. And in 2 days, at the movie theaters, we get a new Godzilla movie. So I'm not sure. I want to see it in the movie theater, right? But I'm not going to be able to go on Wednesday. Actually, we have a show here on Wednesday. So I am dying to watch this movie. I don't know if I'm going to be able to contain myself and wait. Go Blinko, what up, brother? Hey, actually, Go Blinko, stick around. I'm going to chat about some of your new stuff. Yeah, so anybody in here right now, you got Go Blinko in the house, go follow their channel right now. They got a killer channel, and they're a great brand. And I'm going to chat about Go Blinko tonight. You are on the list, because I just got your package in the mail. And it looks pretty sick. Amanda, come on in. Killer. Talon says, man, the pollen is killer right now. It is. I definitely feel my eyes and my congestion building. I do get spring allergies normally. There have been some years where it's so bad it's unbearable. And a little inside scoop about the magic show business, right? I don't cancel magic shows. Mama, my mom's in the house. What up, Mama? I don't cancel magic shows. If I have a fever of 110, I don't cancel them, like I just go do it. And one time I did a magic show in Staten Island, New York, and I still remember this, it was an outdoor show, and my allergies were so bad, I couldn't open my eyes. I literally did the show with my eyes basically shut the whole time, and I would kind of squeak them open to see little bits of what I was doing. That was a bad allergy year. This year so far ain't that bad. I read a little article once that said when they planned New York City 30 years ago, they planted a bunch of new trees that they shouldn't have. So, no, Go Blinko. No. I support the scene. It's all good. Yeah, I support. Yeah. I was glad to buy it. Whenever I meet people that come from the punk rock world that are DIY, I try to support it all I can. I respect DIY more than anything on this earth, especially in this climate of corporate ownership of everything. So, yeah. So thank you for being DIY all the way. Everybody I know that runs their own stuff DIY are role models for me. And when I feel down and out, and uninspired, and I'm going to be honest, in the last month, I've been a little uninspired. You might not notice it. It's subtle. But I've been feeling a little, I'm so used to being busy now. My springs are usually really busy with magic shows coming up. It's busy season. And then my summer's busy at Rockaway Beach. So this year, it's still a little, and so it's hard. It's hard to pay the bill these days. So, it's not the same. If you're a freelance artist and you make a living as a freelance artist, you know what it's like to suffer. I have been suffering the same way a lot of pandemic people have my whole life because of the nature of my work. It's like this. I was in a rock band, for crying out loud. A touring rock band that actually was making money, but even that is just like an endless uphill struggle, as anybody in here knows if you are in the music business. And if you watch my shows, you'll hear me constantly talking about how hard it is, but I gotta be honest. The thing that gets me through it are people. People that come to my shows, people that appreciate even a little bit of what I have to offer. That's what pulls me through. So, thank you. That's why I'm doing these shows. I watched a video on what to do for these online shows, and it's like, dude, just turn the camera on and start talking, okay? If you don't know what to do, open your mouth. Just go. Open your mouth and let the Lord speak. All right, so what's new? Well, we got a Godzilla movie coming out in a couple days. That is major news if you come from where I come from. I also got something in the mail today that cheered me up. Boop. Move my ugly phone. I got a little bust of Seneca. Oh, you're an entertainment rigger, so you're part of the scene too, bro. You know what it is. Showbiz ain't easy. This is my boy Seneca, who through this dark time of this last year, for myriads of reasons, this guy right here has brought me so much hope and understanding that I'm on the right path. Cassius, buddy, how are you? So, Cassius, go follow Go Blinko. You'll like his stuff. Go Blinko also makes games and other fun stuff. You'll dig it. Seneca brought me, let me show you how the scale. Look, it's like a little Seneca bust. I ordered this a month ago and it just came. I don't know where it's made. It's made out of some sort of resin. And it made me want to get more of my favorite philosophers. But if you Google Seneca bust or Marcus Aurelius bust, most of them are in the 700 to 800 range. Rich people buy fancy busts of philosophers. Poor people do not buy busts of philosophers. For that matter, most people don't read philosophy. I myself was never read anything serious until the last year. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I always wanted to learn about this stuff my whole life. I knew there was something good there. Never got around to it. This year I made time for it. So, life-changing. Big time. Big time. I wish I read it earlier, but Anywho, I read an essay, one of the letters Seneca wrote to his buddy Lucius, where he talks about surrounding himself with busts of people he liked and how important it was to him and how we should worship almost our dead mentors. They bring us hope. They give us, when we're not doing well, we're able to look at the statue and it reminds us of the good stuff. I've always been that way. I like to surround myself with things I like for inspiration. So when I'm not feeling good, I can look up on the wall and go, hey, there's my favorite movie, and there's a reason why that movie makes me feel good. So, hail Seneca. I'm a big fan. The other thing I got in the mail today from Goblinko, my goodness. So, Sean Auberg's the artist at Goblinko, and his wife also is an artist, Katie. They're both artists, and they run a company. They also homeschool their kids, and they run their own show. I respect that. And one of the things that he said in his book, Sean Auberg, who's also watching, is that he considers himself a zine artist. And I grew up in the 80s and 90s, you know, in the punk rock and roll stuff. And it was all about zines. And when I first moved to New York City in 1995, we had a store called See Here that was a zine store. You walked in and they just sold fanzines of all sorts. And I don't know how the hell they paid their bills. How do you pay your bills doing that? That's a hard gig. Well, Sean Auberg, he's a zine artist. That's how he started. He ended up creating the magazine Pork, the newspaper. It's like a newsprint. It's a really great... You've probably seen it and didn't realize what it was. And then he made this game. This game came out... Sean, how many years ago now? Has it already been 3 or 4 years? It seems like it's still new for me. This right here, folks. This is Dungeon Degenerates Hand of Doom. If you ask me what my favorite new board game is in the last, 20 years, this definitely makes top of the list. Number 1. It's a beast of a game that, I've been playing the same game since it came out. The same campaign. It's a campaign-based board game where you get to play a character and explore this world however you want. It's an open sandbox, and there's missions and whatnot. So he has been making a fanzine just for that game. And on top of it, we get our first Dungeon Degenerate offshoot right here. Look at this beautiful little zine. It's called Grime and Gold at the Ghost Gate. And what this is it took Dungeon Degenerates as this immersive board game. It's a big map of the world and the world that it exists in. And now people are going to start writing adventures for areas of the board. So this game lets you delve deeper into one area, and it runs like a choose-your-own-adventure. 2017, wow, that long already. 4 years, it's crazy. And I got to playtest this before it got released. So thank you, Sean, for including me in that. It's an honor to playtest your stuff because I like it. You know, I dig the art and the fluff. And the actual gameplay. I'm a fluff gamer, I'm going to be honest. But this game, I don't know if I ever told you this, Sean. When you first put that game on Kickstarter, I remember the day I saw the trailer. It was you and Eric, and I hit, yes, I'm going to support these guys. It was mostly the art that got me, and I had seen Pork Magazine before, and I was like, all right, this is a punk rock version of Dungeons & Dragons. I'm in. I expected the game to suck. I'm going to be honest. I expected the fluff. I remember seeing a little bit of a playthrough that Eric did, and I was like, ooh, God, that seems heady. It seems like a lot. Um, it didn't seem great. Well, I got the game. I opened it up. The rule book was thick and dense and had a million things in it. And I sat down and I started playing it. I set it up and just started running it alone without anybody around. I played that game alone for about 5 months. Alone. Nobody around. I just played the game. And I realized it was a complex game for a reason. It's good. So, you guys out there want a pretty complex game that's meaty? I mean, really meaty. And fun and exciting. It's the kind of game that you think about when you're not playing. It's Dungeon Degenerates. And so, I'm just glad we have new stuff coming out. And they also have another game coming out, I mean, any minute now, right? Dungeon Breakout. It's a little pickup game based on the fluff of Dungeon Degenerates. So, love it. Thank you, Sean. You do great work. Who's messaging me? Oh. Online. Live. Now. I love texting people live. I'm like, hey, you can go say hi to me online. So, anywho, let's chat about some fun stuff. Wednesday, I'm trying to do a live interview on this channel. I have it set up right now. Look at this. So that I can go, hey, and do a Zoom chat. It's not ready yet. So Wednesday, hopefully. I'm not sure yet. I'm working on it right now. Other than that, I wanted to chat about something weird. Radni Kumat. I learned how to say something in another language. Radni Kumat. Radni Kumat. I think I'm pronouncing it pretty right on. Radni Kumat. Radni Kumat is how the Egyptians said Egyptian language. They figured out how they pronounce stuff and how it went from, so Kumat became Kemet. So it started off, the word for Egypt was Kumat, and it became Kemet, and then there's a newer version that turned into Coptic. I watched a documentary the other day on how they figured it out, and I was going to do a show on it, but it's too dense. I mean, it's like, whoa. So I was like, you know what? So like the word Ankh, you know, the Ankh symbol, it's actually pronounced Anacht. Anacht. And Radni Kumat means Egyptian language. Hey, salam, Pagal. Abe kamanachos, huh? My Bangladeshi buddy. Pagal, what state are you in? What state are you in now? You're in California. I mean, city. You're in Cali, I believe. It's so fun that I have such a wide pantheon of people that come through this show. Of people that I've known for many years. New people that I've met just in here. Game designers, artists. We got Peter Benedetti. Goblinko, look up Peter Benedetti art on Insta, and you're going to be like, wow. Yeah, I have a lot of really good artist friends that make really nice stuff. Baro. Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. I wanted to learn a little bit about the Egyptian language. It's the oldest language on Earth, I believe. Yeah. I also was doing research on something recently on the Council of Nicaea. A very fascinating subject for me. For those of you that don't know, the Council of Nicaea is when Constantine, the Holy Roman Emperor Constantine, decided to make Christianity his main game. So he called together a council to assemble it all. But what I didn't realize, I thought that's where they picked the books of the Bible. And I don't think that's what it was. The Council of Nicaea had one main goal, and that is, what do we believe according to these books? 40 miles east of LA. Cool. So, for instance, one of the things they wanted you to know in the Council of Nicaea is there was this dude named Arius, who was like North African dude, who basically said that the version of Christianity that they were promoting was wrong. And so if you look up the original Nicene Creed, yes, if you're any Catholics in here, you say the Nicene Creed every time you go to Mass. We believe in the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth. It's the we believe part. It's where they yell out what they believe, which I always thought was funny when I was a kid. Why do they have to keep saying it over and over again? I know now why. But then at the time, when I was a kid, I was like, why do they have to repeat this like a mantra? Well, oh, did you look at his art? Some of his art is off the charts. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I knew you'd dig his stuff. It's pretty intense. He also designs tarot cards. Yeah, a beautiful deck. So, Arius, if you look at the original Nicene Creed, it mentions Arius. It says, there are those that would say the otherwise. It's referring to Arius. The Nicene Creed doesn't have that anymore. They kind of got it out. But I thought that the Council of Nicaea is where they picked the books of what we call the New Testament. But that's not what I found. And now I'm doing more research on when they actually started putting it together. I love this stuff. Biblical history for me blows my mind. One of the things that blows my mind is how much lack of historical insight there is to religious stories. For instance, the Old Testament and the New Testament. Yeah, it's so cool. I get to see two of my favorite artists in here talking about their art. It's I love it. Yeah, Peter, I knew he was going to like your stuff, and I don't know if you know his stuff, but go look at his art. Sean Auberg with 2 A's. Woo! I got your book right there in the master shelf. Here's one. I was at a bar, I don't know, 5 years ago, hanging out with a friend, and she mentioned that her people built the pyramids, referring to she was Jewish. And I casually said, no, they didn't. That's a hoax. And she was like, I beg your pardon. And I was like, well, I don't know if you've seen the new info out there. She's like, no, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, the pyramid story's not, they found out that's not what it was. The new evidence. And she was freaking out. And this is a pretty secular Jewish person here who obviously is not so religious. And I was like, look, Google it. What do you know? So she Googled it quick and was like, whoa, what the heck? So she immediately messaged her brother in Israel to get his opinion on it. And he didn't know what to say either. But I was basically like, look, there's no evidence of any of this stuff. It's definitely mythology that for some reason became real history for a lot of people, and no one questions it. And I'm a guy who questions all things. So she started looking it up, and yeah, they found out that the pyramids were not built by slaves. They were paid workers. It was considered a cool job, getting to work on these things. And the Exodus story, there's no archaeological evidence. None. Zero. Zilch. Which is pretty wild, because it's a pretty famous story. And then that led me into, when I was younger, looking into the Jesus story, of the historicity of that. And as you know, I did a show on it, 2 weeks ago. It looks pretty sketchy. If all early references of Jesus are a vision, that's kind of weird. Yeah, that's not good for a case of a historical Jesus. Now, you could argue, there's a very famous rabbi in the West Coast, Rabbi Volpe, Wolpe. I don't know if he pronounces it Wolpe or Volpe. He's like a good-looking, charismatic, hipster rabbi, and he said to his congregation, Exodus probably didn't happen, but the story means something. Right? Well, that's like all mythology. Yeah, of course. It means Star Wars means something. Harry Potter means something. They all mean something. There's a lesson to learn. I always thought, though, you get a better lesson if you don't think of it as a divine thing. That's the problem. As soon as there's a divinity involved, dangling above it all, or not dangling, but shining its light, it gets hard to talk about this stuff with other people and to really dig into it. Because now you're saying it's coming from a moral source above even what a human can come up with. And I don't like that. I do believe morality itself is based in biology, in our DNA. I think a lot of things are in our biology and DNA that we don't want to admit. Um, and I think that our morals are too. Proof of such is how our moral codes have changed over the years. You know, thou shalt not rape is not in the Old Testament anywhere. Thou shalt not own another human, that's not anywhere either. Why? Because it was normal. It wasn't weird. It was totally accepted. It's fun to read the Greek philosophers who every now and then will mention slavery and how weird it was. But it seems to me from reading Greek philosophy, the slavery in Rome at the time was so different than now. Like because here's what it was. Yes, they had slaves, full on chains. They had that, but the majority of the people that were slaves were just like normal people. So, like in New York City, if you have a normal job and work for a boss, it would be like as if everybody who worked a job and had a boss basically were slaves. That's kind of what it seems like. So, it's weird how morals and it's all malleable and it moves, well, our DNA has a lot of stuff in it. It's literally our code. I'm curious of what it is, what you've been delving on. But yeah, our moral code seems to come from a biology of sorts, kind of like if you had a group of monkeys in a circle, and what moral code would have a group of monkeys have? If one of the monkeys just started biting the other monkey and punching him, I can guarantee you they'll stop him. Ah, yeah, interesting. Yeah, they were farmers. Yeah, it's weird how our morals are not the same as they were thousands of years ago. And I find that to be pretty fascinating. They change. I mean, just like on Earth today. Go to the Middle East and look at their moral code. It's very different. Their values are very different. So, what do? Is one group of values better than another? You could say that some are. You could say certain Western values, outweighed certain Eastern values because of, look at the advancements in science, technology, medicine, human rights issues, things like that. Yeah, you need to write an essay, Amanda. I like writing my own essays. It helps you formulate your own thoughts. Well, tonight I wanted to talk about something that a lot of people like to talk about, write songs about, make movies about, and that is the number 666. How many of you can recite the Revelation verse because you're an Iron Maiden fan? Woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil sends the beast with wrath, because he knows the time is short. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number, and its number is 666. Right there. What's the 6667? So, what the heck does that number mean? My whole life, I've always wanted to know. I've looked it up a few times, never paid attention. And about a month ago, I started doing some digging, and I have found... Oh, you're writing an essay on WW2. Cool. I really think the number is kind of an amazing number because... Okay, so when you mention that number to people, it clearly just means evil, right? It's evil, it's dark, it's bad, it means the devil. If you've seen the Omen movie, Damien has it tattooed on the top of his head. in a triangular form. It meant, if you read Revelation, it is a future vision. So the book of Revelation, all right, let's talk about it now. So the book of Revelation is written by this dude named John. Who that is, I don't think anybody knows. But it's a future vision of what's to come. And it talks about this creature coming out of the sea, and his number is 666. So the first thing I found was the translation of the word reckon. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast. Well, it seems to me that the word reckon is kind of it's a bad translation. A lot of the flowery language used in the King James Version of the Bible was written by flowery writers, one of which most likely was Shakespeare. There's a good chance Shakespeare wrote some of that stuff. No one was allowed to take credit for it, so we don't know who wrote it. But the word reckon means calculate. Let him who hath understanding calculate the number of the beast. So, hey, all of you in the know, calculate this number. Okay? So what does that number mean? Well, has anybody ever heard of gematria? Or gematria, it would be called in Hebrew. In Greek, it's called isosophy. Anybody know what that is? So it is a form of numerology that corresponds an alphabet. And the Greeks had it, and the Hebrews had it. And not only did they have it, it was a thing. So, for instance, in Pompeii, they found a graffiti, a really old graffiti. It said, "I love a woman 545." It just had a number. Yeah, I'm in love with 246. Imagine that, scratched in a wall. Well, here's what it meant. Gematria was, if you take the Greek alphabet and you go alpha, that's number 1, beta, that's number 2, they gave a value to the letters. And it eventually gets to tens and hundreds too. So a letter will represent 100 or 10. So they had a whole system for taking a name and turning it into a number. And that was gematria. And they did it for code reasons. They did it for goofy fun. They found a thing in Greek. In 1570, they found this. Somebody writing about the word gold and anus had the same they had the same number. Oh, no, that's it. No, I'm sorry. The number for gold and anus is 1570. 1570. Somebody figured it out and thought it was funny and wrote it down. So here's an example of people are goofing around with it. People were using it to write girls' names on the wall. I'm in love with Becky is now I'm in love with 247. And it was a real thing. It was popular, right? So what's 666? Check it out. If you take and you break it up, I'm going to tell you right now what it means. I'm saving it because it's so fun. It means Nero Caesar. It literally is the number. If you take Nero's name and you write this out. Now, this is where it gets to be pretty much solid on this. Okay, this isn't just some wild theory. If you take the word in Hebrew and you wrote Nero Caesar, here's what you get. First of all, his name Nero Caesar was Neron Caesar, which is what it was in Greek. Neron Caesar. And Neron Caesar, if you write it out, the first letter's 50, 200, then 6, then 50, then 100, then 60, then 200. It all adds up to 666. Now, some people will say, hey, Some of the Bibles out there floating around, the texts, the scrolls, the papyri, say 616, which is true. 616. Well, that's going to be a different name, is it not? Wrong. If you take the Neron Caesar, if you take the N off and write Nero Caesar, which is the other name he had, which people called him, it's 616. So there's the proof. There's two numbers, which originally they're like, nah, it's not Nero. Look, it's 616 was the original number. Well, the earliest copy we have of that revelation says 666. A little bit later, there's one that says 616. There's other versions that say 616. The majority say 666. So I don't know what to say. That's it. Code cracked. That's pretty much it. He was the bad guy of the era. People didn't like him. Emperor Nero got to be representative of literally, I mean, he's torturing Christians, he's killing Jewish people, he's the guy that we're feeding Christians or Jewish people to the lions. That was Emperor Nero. He was considered to be one of the worst Roman emperors. If you read his history, it's fascinating. Woo! And it's really fascinating because I am literally reading letters that this guy right here, Seneca, wrote to his buddy Lucius. Okay? And they're very personal and very real. I feel like I'm in his shoes. Well, guess who he worked for? Emperor Nero. He worked for Caligula. Then he got banished for being friendly with the ladies, I believe. And then they brought him back to counsel Nero, who was a very young emperor who was kind of cuckoo. He was also a, quote, failed artist. Another failed artist cuckoo bird. Hitler was a failed artist. Charlie Manson. A lot of these kooks are failed artists. If they could have maybe become a better artist, maybe they wouldn't be so crazy. Nero thought of himself as a musician and a poet and an actor, like a lot of rich kids do. Sorry, rich kids watching. But he was that guy. And he had a lot of people, I'm sure, telling him he was great. And I'm sure his wealth and the fact that he was a Roman emperor, he could have lessons and take classes from whomever he wanted. And supposedly at a festival in the Colosseum, he actually got up and sang a song, which I heard was unheard of at the time. For Nero to get up and sing, it meant that you were aligning yourself in the prostitute class, because that's the actor class was also part of that class. It was a low class. People respected them, but they were still low class. They didn't have souls in Greek. So, yeah, exactly. He would force people to watch him. And I don't know, does anybody know what his famous last words are? I was kind of like, wow. Well, there's two accounts. Yep. Kind of. That's yeah, he might have done that. Yeah, he did. Well, there's no proof that he burned down Rome, but it looks like it. His last words were like basically the world is losing a great artist, basically. Is that it? Where's my phone? I'm going to look this up. I literally just looked this up and he ended up killing himself. Let's see here. Nero's lost words. Here we go. What an artist dies in me is one translation. Quales artifacts? What did he say? Quales? I'm going to translate this myself. Yeah, he's basically like the world's losing a great artist as he died. Yeah, well, okay. Good point, William. It says, no wonder, since a failed artist would have had a ton of subconscious issues, probably not able to control their actions and took it out on others. Okay, A performance artist, an actor. We as performers, yes, he did. Yeah, right, Cassius. Yeah, Cassius, look him up. He's a dark character, but a fascinating dark character. Um, so a lot of artist types fly on their limbic cortex and their lizard brain. Those two. They don't go to neocortex. Why? Well, they're trained not to. When you're an actor, I mean, I went to a snobby theater school. You're taught to open up that gateway in your brain so that words affect you. I'm reading philosophers and they're saying, don't do this. This is bad for you, right? But an actor, a performer, has to. This is what good acting is. I'm sitting here. There's another actor who's got an action they're trying to pull. To hurt, to amuse, to excite. Now the line might be, I love you, but they're saying it to excite. They have an action they're trying to do to me. They say the line, and I literally let it hit me, and I respond. That's what acting is. It doesn't go to the thinking part. The thinking part that an actor does is the early work. It's the textual analysis of the play, okay? In the moment of a performance, you let it affect you. This is what improv artists do. You open up this box in your brain and you let the person say the line and you let it feel and you spit your line out after that one hits you. You let it affect you and your next action. Then it goes to them, they say their line, and this is what acting is, this is what real life is, right? It's you being influenced by words, and you let it happen. So an actor or an artist, a painter, you guys that are watching are painters. Where do you get your, your feeling? It's got to be a box that you open up. I am a performance artist, not a visual artist. I consider myself straight up performance art, and I've always just opened my head up and let it come out. It's also my character defect, a big one, and that is not using my neocortex. I react, I don't respond. And now I've been working on it. I've been putting a lot of work into this type of adjustment of sorts. And it's because I've been reading a lot of these great philosophers. I mean, Seneca and Marcus Aurelius especially, he really wrote about this. Don't let it affect you. Yeah, he did. He executed his mama. Dude, that's low. Now, I'm curious if, to today's standards, if we would see him as something like if we met him or we saw a video of Nero, would he come off as a little slow or a little deficient in some area? Like you'd notice it? Like, wow, that guy's not so bright. Like something's wrong with him. I wonder if we would notice that, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm wondering what characters in history are like that. Where if we saw a video of them, we'd be like, wow, that guy was off, And think about it, even in Rome, like when he would walk in public, like most people didn't get a good glimpse of him. There weren't photographs. There were statues and some drawings, but yeah, visual art fascinates me because you have to dig in some sort of somewhere, right? Jason's saying now, outlets, feelings, situations, pre-realm sleep, images at times. Yeah, I'm always fascinated on how a visual artist's process is, what zone they get into. Peter, I watch you creating art all the time. You show some live creations, and I don't know how that discipline works. I come from a performance art discipline. I'm sure we all have very similar things, but some of the execution part might be very different. Like if I'm going to create a piece of magic, I need to perform it live early in its creation. Ooh, here it comes. Ooh, sorry. I need to perform it live to feel out what the audience watching is going to do. And as soon as I start to do the act or say things or do things, I can kind of start gauging it. It's just from having lots of flight time. I mean, after you've been performing as long as I have, I'm going to be honest, if there's any new performers here watching ever, um, eventually you will be able to look at a crowd and know exactly what to do. You won't even worry about it. You can give me any crowd and I will know what to do. A banquet hall with a bad stage in the middle, an arena, 8 people in the park, a private party where nobody speaks English and the lighting's bad. I can take every one of those situations and make it work. Uh, it's funny, I had a chat the other day with somebody, and this is really deep stuff for me to talk about. They were recommending that I do maybe a kind of like a scripted show online. And I was like, I like that idea. Like a scripted biography kind of thing, maybe. And I was like, look, it's really hard for me to do that because I've spent my whole life learning how to take 10 magic tricks. 10, okay? Let's just say 10. 10 different acts, magic trick bits, right? And making each one of those bits perfect to entertain all people. That's what I've been doing. My straitjacket act, my Elvis act, my razor blade act, my cups and balls, my production of cards. I have a few different mind reading acts. I have Jumbo Monty. I mean, I have a series of tricks that I can put together in a show format that I can entertain a rich business guy, a guy in the park, I mean, all of the above. The problem is I can't use those acts here. They're not meant for this context. It actually would cheapen them for you to see some of them on here, which is why I don't do magic all the time on here. I can't stand magicians that are doing tricks every 3 seconds. It's too much. Magic to me is a special thing that happens at an event that happens maybe once a year. Like most people only never see magic, and those who do see it only get to see it once a year, twice a year, if that, right? So my magic is designed for those situations. And I don't want to cheapen my magic and make it this online thing that just kind of happens willy-nilly. There was a magician. There have been 2 magic shows I can think of in history that were regular on TV. One of them was a show that wasn't national, but I think it was like only on the West Coast. Mark Wilson, the guy that wrote the book, The Encyclopedia Magic, he had a weekly show. Chris Angel also had a weekly show. And I used to think about that. God, if somebody gave me a weekly magic show, what would I do? Well, Chris Angel hired a bunch of consultants. Some of them are really good. And they were hired to come up with new tricks that he could pull off every week. I don't know if you've ever seen the Chris Angel magic show on TV. I find it to be pretty bad. They're polishing lots of turds. They're taking material that's not really developed and editing it with a fake audience so that you can have a cool TV show every week. I get it. If I was under the gun of coming up with new tricks every week, I don't know what I would do. Some of the magic I present to the public takes years of work before I can show anybody. I'm not kidding. My card manipulation stuff, I couldn't show anybody that for 5 years. 5 years. I'm not kidding. 5 years. I finally felt comfortable doing it live. Cups and balls, years. So imagine having to come up with new magic every week. It's going to be crap. Or you're going to have to use camera tricks and editing to make it look better than it is. Because how do you rehearse the subtle nuance that makes that trick go from a trick to a miracle that happens up here in your mind? I look at magic like that. Yeah, yeah. Penn and Teller do that. They say they greet the audience. They find it to be important to meet their audience. I agree. Penn and Teller are real magicians. They're not a joke. They're the real thing. Well, I mean, Chris Angel, he had to rely on. Now, here's the thing: Chris Angel can do a live show. He can walk on stage and do a bird act. That's not an easy thing to do. He put time into that. It's just when you get to mainstream, a lot of it gets watered down. The art gets watered down. And like, I don't want to do that to my magic. Just to be relevant to the times and internet, I don't want to do that. I wish I could, but I can't morally do that to magic. It's too important. I'll study something in magic. Oh, good question, William. I'm going to answer that in detail. Magic for me. So his question is, for those of you not watching the chat, and I recommend anybody watching this show, go look at the chat because it's great. We have great people in our chat. It says, so as a magician, what tricks are still ones you are enthusiastic about and love that don't get old? Well, okay, wow. As classics of magic go, well, I'll call them classics, meaning famous tricks that, the three rings that go together, the appearing cards, the three cups. Out of those, I mean, card manipulation. Ever since I was a little kid, the first time I saw a card manipulation act, I was blown away. That's right, Bill. Hey, Bill Yon, how are you? Nice to see you here. Yes, I was doing chain escapes in high school. Like, if you could have anyone do 3 magic tricks right now, I mean, my favorite 3 magic tricks of all time are the 3 cups and the 3 balls, card manipulation. Okay, eating razor blades, I have been doing the longest. I started doing it in high school. I didn't master it until mid to late 90s when I started doing it for real, where I actually put sharp razor blades in my mouth. Most people who do razor blade eating, and I'm going to blow it up right now because I don't care, they put in dull razor blades in their mouth, and they have a gadget that switches the sharp ones for the dull ones on the table. I don't like that. I like the hard one, the hard version, which is what I do. So all of the tricks, thank you, Jason. All of the tricks that I like are the ones I put a lot of work into. Whether it be just pure sleight of hand skill or the timing. I have a couple of acts that you guys have never seen me do that if you see me do my restaurant work, or if I'm hired to do a corporate mingle party where I'm mingling, I have a couple tricks in there that I'm very proud of what I've accomplished. So I have an act that I've come up with that I do in the nightclub. If you go see me in a nightclub, I have a couple sets that I do. And they're a series of a bunch of tricks. So one act is literally just 3 tricks, 2 of which are kind of card tricks. And if I said, yeah, I just do a card trick for a nightclub audience, it does not sound exciting. But I get the crowd to freak out. To me, that's what I'm interested in learning magic. It's not the trick. It's how am I able, like a conductor, a musical conductor, to rope an emotional response out of the people in front of me. And in that emotional response, there's going to be wonder. Right? There'll be some humor, but it's leading to a gasp of wonder. Here, I don't want to brag, but, oh, you did the light bulb act. That's a good act. That's a classic act at this point. Here's my magic. I'm going to show one of my little trailers now. All it is me revealing a playing card. That's it. Listen to the audience. This is the Slipper Room in New York City. This is a very hard to impress audience sometimes. They're drunk, they're crazy. There's a bachelor party, a bachelorette party. It's every shape of life. Old, young, black, white, gay, straight, trans, the whole gambit. They all go to these nightclubs. And so I'm doing just a card trick. It's about, I think the nightclub Slipper Room at its capacity is about 150 people. Look at this.
Seven? Thank God I can do magic, everybody.
Shut up! That is literally pick a card and I find it kind of a trick. That's all it is. I use it when I teach. I show that trailer all the time. I'm glad I got a video of it. I have a bunch of videos of me doing that exact act on that space. That one was me one night. I literally took my camera, my iPhone, and plopped it up just so I could. I like listening to my magic acts more than seeing them sometimes because I can hear. Oh, you did have your bachelorette party there. Wow, very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing venue. So, and you've been in there. It can be kind of wild and raucous. So, I mean, I've been performing there since 2001 or 2-ish, around there, right? So, I'm competing with half-naked women performing, literally beautiful half-naked women, contortionists, aerialists, some extreme performers, and I'm going to walk out and just do a card trick? Well, there you go. That's what you do. So when I'm studying magic, I'm studying the art of getting an emotional response. And you can't do that from learning a trick and then filming it tomorrow. It's not going to happen. So that's why as an art form, I can't do that other art form. It doesn't work for me. I didn't train myself to do that. I could, there's nothing to train for. It's not the same at all. That's why I film acting and TV acting to me aren't the same, because it's like the difference in making a song in a recording studio where you cut and paste everything, or doing it literally live with someone glaring at you like this, waiting for you to mess up. To me, they're completely different art forms. They don't even come close, and one of them is definitely superior to the other. That whole like, well, they're just different. No, one is more superior. One of them takes a gut, a gall, a bone inside of you. Yeah, it's not the same. I hate it when people do that. Oh, it's just different. No, it's not. It's inferior. It is inferior. You can do one and do the other, but you can't do the other and do the other. You can take a theater actor and train them really easily how to do film and television, right? You can't take a TV actor or a film actor and throw them on a stage and expect them to pull that off. No way in God's green earth. Not happening. So I always thought I trained to do one thing, and yeah, I'm here. This is what it. This is why this show to me is interesting, because it is definitely me improving. I mean, I'm talking about subjects and you guys are chiming them out, but it's based on a live energy, a vibe. And you only get this energy, at least for me. I mean, I do a lot of homework. I know what I'm talking about. I'm good at just opening my mouth and talking. And I consider it the most truthful way to be. I don't, it's easier when it's truth. When you speak the truth, it's easy. When you have to lie and make up stuff, that's not easy. I can't even imagine these people that have fake lives and how they monitor, upkeep it. I actually went to school with somebody who did a performance about their life, and then we found out that it was basically just made up. It was kind of heartbreaking. It was like, wow, God, that person, like, how did they... That's sad. If they had to make up their life to feel good about themselves, it's really sad. But, you know, I'm here, and I'm making this show happen. Wow, I've been talking for an hour. Yeah, you're right. Evening hour 50 technically will be on Friday. And I didn't pick the subjects yet. I have a few I'm working on. I don't know which ones are going to happen yet. Um, I'm trying, and let me see if he got back to me. Wednesday might be a really neat one. Oh, nope, not yet. Nope. Let's see. I'm trying to get the artist, Stuart Palm, to do an interview with me on Wednesday. And I'm just waiting to see if he's able to. It's going to be really cool. Stuart is a magician, mentalist. He doesn't even consider himself a magician. He is a mentalist mind reader at this point. And he's an expert in pendulums. And somebody on here said they just ordered one from him. He makes pendulums, and he wrote a book on it. And he uses them in performance, and you can use them for a self-help tool. They're a divination tool, a way to tap into your subconscious. I'm trying to get him on here. He's also my collaborator with my deck of cards. Oh, I'm hiccuping. Woof. Whenever I talk a lot, I get yawny and hiccupy. And I did not drink my fake beer tonight. I've been drinking water. Well, DCC, if I do that, will not be an evening hour. It will be a boardgasm. And I am going to do a boardgasm episode on the new Goblinko game, Dungeon Breakout. And I think I'm going to do a playthrough where I actually kind of talk about it and show how it works. That is coming up. That could be... If I get the game this week, I'll do it on Friday. If I don't, it'll be it'll be next week or a week after. They said they're, shipping it soon. I also want to do an episode on Dracula, 1979, and the Broadway Dracula. That's an episode I want to do, a little retrospective of this little piece of Dracula history that a lot of people don't know about. There was a play on Broadway called Dracula that got amazing reviews. It blew people. The people I know that saw it said it blew their mind. And I mean, the movie, Dracula 1979, it's just called Dracula. I've always liked it. I've always thought it was a great film. So I kind of wanted to do a little retrospective on that. That might be Friday. That might be episode 50. So any other episodes you guys want me to do, put it out there. I'll do it. If it's something juicy, I'll jump on it. I've taken episodes. I think somebody suggested Running of the Bulls, and I did a whole episode on that. So, I try to keep it aspects of my life that I know, things that I know about and appreciate. It's just easier. I've covered a lot of subjects on this show. I have yet to do on ghosts, and that one will be a Behind the Devil's Curtain. I'm also working on a controversial one for Behind the Devil's Curtain, and that is the ancient art of throwing curses. And that will coincide with the book I'm writing. I'm writing a book. Been working on it. It's not easy. It's not easy. I don't consider myself a writer. Occasionally I can write something and look at it and go, hey, I can write. I have a way of writing. But most of the time it's not so easy. It takes me a little bit of pulling at my hair to get something on paper. So I've been working on it. I have a lot done. I'm still not there. I figured eventually somebody's going to write a book on cursing, and they're not going to be qualified. So might as well be me. I've done a lot of thinking, and it's not one thing. It's a lot of things. It's going to be about... Cassius asks me, would I say I'm a nerd, a geek, or a dork? Huh. Well, I could be all three of those. Am I a nerd, a geek, I don't consider myself a geek. I nerd, yes. Dork, I'm pretty dorky. I am definitely dorky. I mean, I paint miniatures. I paint fantasy miniatures and play games with them. I'm a fanboy for Godzilla. I do magic. I am king nerd. I guess. Um. Thank you, Sean. When I write this book, your jaw's gonna hit the floor. I promise you. Even if you know about cursing, you're gonna be like, "Wow, I never thought of it that way." I'm gonna wake up the world on the art of cursing. There are some morals involved. Yeah, there's definitely morals involved. Meaning, cursing ain't for everybody. It's not for the certain types of people. And I don't recommend cursing for anybody. I actually tell people, don't do it. People ask me all the time, how do I put a curse on somebody I don't like? And my first advice is don't bother. You can't handle it. Not everybody can. There's certain types that can and certain types that can't. OG punk rock. Thank you, Ashworth. I mean, I consider myself a person who loves certain things, and I don't care what other people think. That's what I consider myself. So Cassius, how old are you now, Cassius? 12? Are you 12? I think you're 12 or 13. Yeah, and I hope for you the same. I mean, you're a kid. You shouldn't care. You know, do what you like, and if somebody makes fun of you for that, more power to you. It means you're probably doing something that's good. Do as much cursing as you can now before your channel gets monetized. It's true. Once I'm monetized, it gets to be not free speech anymore. They shadow ban. They hit a button and you go in the... Well, good question. Is cursing a waste of time or not? It depends what your goal is. If you're actually trying to make somebody jump off a cliff that is causing pain and misery to others, then it's not a waste of time. If you are a person who needs to get out some anger issues, cursing can be a fantastic way to do it. The Senecas, the Stoics would be like, you should not care before it happens. Meaning, if you're upset, you've let it get too far already. But as an artist, to me, cursing is a form of art. And art can be a form of a curse. A lot of artists, if they don't like something, will make a piece of art. So that could be a form of a curse. You're 12. Yeah, dude, when I was 12, I got made fun of and picked on pretty bad for a lot of the things that I held dear. I like to play the piano, and I was in basketball in 6th grade, and I got made fun of for being girly because I wanted to do piano and not basketball. I don't like bullying, but I don't like the new culture of everybody's offended. I don't like it. If you're offended, it's your fault. That's what I taught my kids. If you're offended, it's your fault. People can say whatever they want about me. They can make fun of the things I like, the things I do, the things I love, the way I look, the way I dress. They can say I have a big nose. They can say I look ugly. They can say anything they want. They can make fun of my family, my friends. It doesn't do anything to me. It really is sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And if names hurt me, it's my problem. I have to figure out why those names are hurting me and how I can make it not hurt anymore. So that's why I don't like the new modern version of no one's allowed to offend anybody, because by liking something more than another, you're discriminating and might offend somebody because you don't like that, you like this. Right there. Does that mean in the future you won't be allowed to say what you like? I don't know. I just don't like the climate of how people are taught how to... I was taught if there's a bully, you either avoid it or fight back. And I do like the Teddy Roosevelt, walk peacefully, but carry a really big stick. That's kind of how I rolled my game. And then I discovered black magic. And I realized that I was a wizard and that I did have power. I have way more power than I could ever imagine. And that power comes from me understanding how things work, how the world works. And well, yeah, I mean, dude, cursing is not for everybody. It's dangerous. It's actually dangerous because most people have a very fragile subconscious, especially if they're raised in a culture where mythology is taught as reality. We live in a world where mythology is taught as a reality for a lot of people. And the wise wizard understands this and knows how to use it to his advantage. Chew on that one. All right, folks, we had a nice giant group in here tonight, and it's Monday. Monday's my favorite day of the week, and I'm going to be honest. When I woke up today, I didn't feel good mentally. I felt a little, like I said, uninspired. And then this guy came in the mail. And he came in the mail, and he inspired me. He inspired me to chill out and not to worry so much. And then I did my day, and when I started getting ready for the show, I didn't feel so inspired. As soon as I turned the camera on, I knew I had done the right thing. And that is I just did the show, and look, we had a great chat tonight. I hope. Yeah, some of us got made fun of and picked on when we were little, and I certainly was. But you know what? It's all good, man. Scars of battle make you tough. And, yeah. Well, okay, Bill, you're bringing up stuff that's in my book. What's the best way for a person to find out they've been cursed? A little inside scoop, not by the wizard telling them. This is where reputation preceding the wizard really works in his favor. And eventually, yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, black magic for me, when I was little, witchcraft and stuff of sorts, to me, I was learning about that as I was learning about magic tricks, which is why I think I'm qualified to write the book on cursing, because I was studying by doing magic tricks live how people reacted to things and the timing of it all and the pomp and circumstance of it all. And then when you add into it the fact that we live in a world where mythology is taught as a reality, wow, we have a can of worms we can mess with. And if you believe in determinism, which is where I'm leaning these days, you really need to sit back, open your mind, and look at where all the lines are going. Because they are all going in a direction, and you can see, and you can start pulling it together, and you can start capitalizing on that knowledge. So, folks, I hope you had a good chat tonight. My name is Cardone, and I'm going to bounce out of here and have my Monday and chill out. And I'm getting ready to watch Godzilla soon. 2 more days, maybe. It's going to be on TV. You'll be able to turn on HBO and watch King Kong versus Godzilla. That's amazing. We are living in cool times because of that. Wow. All right, everybody. Ashworth, William, Bill, Jason, Amanda, Sharky. Who else is in here? Yeah, Cassius, Peter, Goblinko, or Goblinko. It's actually pronounced Goblinko. I always say Goblinko. Talon, Salam. Who else is in here? Jason, Amanda, everybody. Great group tonight. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll see you all on Wednesday. And we'll have a show. If we're lucky, we're going to have a sick guest artist. So let's see. Trying to expand the show a bit. Thank you, Cassius. Thank you, Sharky. Bill, thank you. It's so cool to have people that I knew 40 years ago in these rooms. Yeah, you too. Dhonabad. Bondu. Dhonabad. Wow, cool, man. Everybody, you guys are cool. I love it, and I'm out of here. I'm going to put on the end credits and bounce. You guys have been watching episode 48 of Evening Hour. My name is Cardone. This is Cardone Entertainment. The donors, hey, I like it when I get donations, but you know what I really like? Hit the subscribe button. I'm getting close to 1,000. I'm starting to smell it. I'm almost at 700, folks. Help me get there, and we are going to have a real party once we get there. Party on, and over and out.